Welcome back to Fresh Outlook. Some of the headlines this week read, U.S. goes after China for cyber attacks. Now, 5 men in the Chinese army were listed, making it difficult for China to deny the accusations. What does it mean for U.S.-Chinese relations? Let's take a look.
eBay is urging 145 million users to change their passwords after a cyber attack compromised customer data. Hackers have stolen non-financial information, such as email addresses, encrypted passwords, and birth dates between late February and early March.
I think, unfortunately, I wasn't all that surprised to hear that there had been another database breach. Over the last year or so, we've been hearing quite a lot about internet firms having their databases breached.
She says eBay needs to adopt stronger methods to protect data.
Changing your password is helpful a couple of times. After that, the burden really shifts back to the companies and to Congress to make sure that all of the appropriate protections are in place.
eBay says its investigation of the breach is ongoing, with assistance from law enforcement. The company said it found no evidence that its PayPal online payment service had been breached.
Dee Dee and Dr. Mirescu continue our discussions. We also welcome Dr. Alain Sanders from St. Peter's University and political psychologist Dr. Bart Rossi. All right, we're seeing quite a few of these tech stories in the news today and this week, and we want to talk about the significance of the espionage right now with China and this whole scenario that's happened. How are these cyber attacks launched? I want to start with that one right off the bat.
Well, I mean, I don't know the actual technology, but certainly much of the cyber attacks have been traced to a particular building, I believe in Shanghai, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Which is apparently the home of some military unit of the People's Liberation Army. They've been launching attacks all over the place. Many of them are commercial attacks. And China, of course, has been an economy that has developed rapidly, and the Chinese leadership would like it to continue to develop rapidly. And much of the way in which it develops, unfortunately, is through stealing things from other developed economies. And this is part of the plan.
And we certainly want to talk about what it means for Chinese-U.S. relations, but we also want to talk about eBay, of course, because we just heard that story, and what this means for customers. Now, Dee Dee, you and I have both been hacked this past year. I was with my health insurance, and you were with Target, correct?
Correct.
But you know, just that we're seeing more of this. What does this mean now for customers? And are there any websites safe now from cyber attacks? I mean, I know you're not a tech person to really address that, but do you feel safe right now?
You know, you're talking about eBay and Target, that's one thing. And no, I don't feel safe. I think we have to change our password, and that's what the recommendation is, and do as much as we can to protect our private information. However, what's worse here is they stole information from companies that talk about technology and nuclear energy. And, you know, things that are much more serious than us buying things on eBay.
Absolutely.
So, you know, for the Chinese to be stealing our information and be hurting U.S. companies, no, it cannot be good for our relationship, clearly.
What do you think in terms of the U.S. relations moving forward with China?
Well, I would say, while we've always known that, we've always looked at one another. This is in a way an extension of Cold War intelligence practices. Now, it wasn't always, some of it was shared information, some of it was not shared. Even the closest of allies will look over each other's shoulders,
Absolutely.
even if it's the United Kingdom. But what we've entered into is a new stage in which the publication of let's say false practices in intelligence gathering, or this making public of intelligence gathering through the NSA, for example, we're seeing that it's actually having a public effect on foreign policy, even in scenarios we wouldn't normally think it would have an effect. So the relationship, say, between Germany and the U.S., considering the Ukraine, is part of it is dealing with this lack of an excuse or an I'm sorry or a mea culpa from Washington, D.C. for a long-term intelligence gathering of top German officials. So there is this foreign policy influence that needs to somehow be sorted out.
And there was certainly a way that the U.S. Officials decided to say, hey, listen, we know these 5 guys. They're the ones that did it. They specifically named them, almost like the FBI wanted posters. Mm-hmm. There was a significance to that, Dr. Sanders.
Yes, there is. And part of it is because, of course, China has a new leader. and a new leadership structure in place. And I think the Obama administration wanted to send a clear message that to the new leadership that this cannot be business as usual. And by publicly going forward with a prosecution that probably will lead nowhere except through publicity, because of course you have to get a hold of these people, and bringing them to the U.S. for prosecution is probably not going to happen. But the point was to send a message to the new leadership that the recent aggressive postures of China in all kinds of sphere, in the Asian Pacific theater, as well as in economic espionage, the United States wanted to send a clear message that it will not put up with it.
Now, clear message, or was it a bad week for Obama?
Well,
Dee Dee?
I have to say, I have to give the administration credit. I love those wanted posters with those 5 Chinese guys on it. I mean, you know, I thought that was good, and it sent a clear message. And what I thought was interesting, the Chinese said, hey, you need to repeal that. That's ridiculous. It's a mistake. No, we know. We caught you red-handed, buddy. You know, so, but yeah, that wanted poster with the 5 Chinese, I thought that was strong. I thought it was good.
All right. We want to also just check in with Dr. Bart Rossi. And Dr. Bart, you know, just from a personal angle, you know, we've talked about this before, but you know, it doesn't feel like any of us are safe anymore.
No, it doesn't, Mia. It actually feels like we're becoming more and more paranoid. You know, we're more anxious, we're more paranoid, and I think we're more susceptible to being hacked and our data being used against us. And this is something, you know, where we all are starting to think about and realizing for the first time, you know, what are we going to do about this, and how do we guard our special information, and will it be used against us somehow to blackmail us or to do something really odd that's in a very negative vein? And I'm very concerned about that. And there's the emotional and the psychological that goes along with all of this tech stuff.
And we certainly do hear so much about it in the news, you can't get away from it. You making any changes just on a personal level? Dee Dee?
Well, I want to figure out what that company is that Rudy Giuliani, you know, that he talks about, that he endorses. I think we're all going to have, what's Autolog or something like that? I think we're going to have to go to our own personal level, because we can't rely on the government and we can't rely on these companies to keep our information safe. We're going to have to do it ourselves.
No, I had a LinkedIn account, my professional social network account, hacked about 1.5 years ago when I was out of the country, and I didn't have any financial information or not much personal information stolen, but it was still unnerving to know that somehow that was compromised, and so I regularly update my passwords.
Okay, and there was a lot of news about passwords becoming obsolete as well this week.
Yeah.
Right.
Dr. Sanders, do you make any changes personally?
Well, sometimes and sometimes not. I think like most people, you make the changes that you think are necessary at the moment, and sometimes you let things go by. But I just want to say something. We're entering a whole new era here with this cybersecurity stuff in which privacy is really becoming compromised seriously. And I think part of the issue that we will need to face as a country and really around the world is how do we approach privacy, and we need a whole new approach. It's not just regulating and making certain behaviors illegal. We need to have a totally different approach to it, and I think legal thinkers need to do that.
That'd be a great discussion for another,
Yep.
we could probably take that for an hour. Do want to talk about AT&T as well. They are acquiring satellite broadcaster DirecTV for nearly $49 billion. It's going to change the whole media and telecommunications landscape. So this is an example of a big fish getting bigger. So what does that mean for the customers?
I think it sounds too big. I think it sounds like it's a monopoly, and you have so much power. I don't see where it's a good thing. And I'm an AT&T customer. That seems a little too big to me.
Yeah, they're getting a little too big for their britches. I think that's what my father used to say. What do you think?
Right. Well, you know, you're seeing very different things in the media world. I mean, you're seeing a lot of consolidation, mergers such as this one, which are very troubling. But you're also seeing all kinds of divestment. The whole media structure is, and the media economic situation is very unstable at the moment. It's not clear whether mergers or breaking apart will be the future.
And I'm not really so sure. It hasn't been clear for AT&T customers like Dee Dee and myself. How are we going to benefit? There's really they really haven't explained that at all. So they're going to get bigger, but what's that mean for us?
All I know is when you get bigger and you have a monopoly, the prices always go up, just because they have too much control. So I don't see where it's good.
I'm a little worried about this one myself, but I don't know if we're going to be switching just yet. But
Not
a little concerned though. But we'll have to keep our eye on that.
Oh, good, we agree. That's good.
We do.
If our bills go up, we'll be talking about it again. All right, don't go away, everyone. We do also have a serious scandal facing the Obama administration. We'll have more on that when Fresh Outlook returns after this short break.